As far as maintenance is key. Maintenance is important. And what it is in a nutshell is maintenance is an action done to maintain the quality and integrity of your locks, such as retightening and other upkeep. So it's the whole thing. What you do to your hair to maintain its quality, to maintain its integrity and its look. That's your maintenance. It can include retightening, but it also includes many other things. So it includes things like product usage. Let me know if you have questions as well. We talked about excessive use. We talked about products and the type of products that you should avoid. So after your locks are installed, you need to avoid excessive product, period. Let it connect and let it lock without product and without silkeners and conditioners and things like that. There's certain, like, obviously wash your hair and do things like that, but then I say air dry it, leave it. What happens is, if you don't, you can loosen your locks tension, you can cause them to unravel and bunch, which is slide down, the pattern slide down, have a big puffy spots in it, which then leaves like a hole or some loose hairs. Sometimes those hairs come out, so you want to be careful about that. Okay, so optimal maintenance is done by having regular hair servicing and retightening on a regular basis as much as possible. If you have a really great foundation, it's just why I mentioned that yesterday, then you're really giving yourself a lot of benefits, because sometimes things happen. Optimal maintenance is done by providing grooming and repairs as needed. They are a part. I say grooming is more, not a luxury, but grooming is more of less of a necessity. And repair, if it needs to be done, like repair should be something that is on the radar with every retightening. But you know, if it's not done at every time, it needs to be clearly communicated if it needs to be done, when it will be done, how it will be done. But you have to make that has to be done and looked at. And so what I was finding, that was just a little bit, was people would say, I get my hair done in 2 hours, boom, my person's really fast. And that's great if you try being charged by the hour. But what was the negative that I was seeing was with that, sometimes, not all the time, was that I could tell that your lock was not being looked at properly. It was a race to get you in and out, or whatever reason. Maybe you don't like to sit long, and I'm saying you if you're a client, or maybe the professional, the stylist is like, I'm going to squeeze this person in. But if that happens on like every single session, because that time is like, we got 2 hours in and out, but things are being neglected, then is it really? And then you may have to either go to that person for a repair if they are going to do the repair, or go to someone else to repair. And now you're paying money to sit down and have someone clean up and pay attention to something that should have been paid attention to. So those things are in it, really good to make sure that that's happening, and have discussions around repair, what that looks like. The optimal maintenance also, proper product usage. Again, that product discussion. How are you maintaining your locks? How are you instructing your clients to maintain their locks? There are many product lines, but let me tell you something on biology level, not everything works for everyone's hair. And there cannot be just one thing you have to use. I've heard people tell me they've been instructed to use one thing, and they said it didn't work, or they didn't like the effects of it, or whatever, it made something. So there needs to be a discussion then on other things to use. pH levels. So for instance, just in a general sense, like a cast-out kind of soap wash could work great for some people's locks, like Dr. Bronner's or whatever, Dr. Woods. I think they have different names, diluted down. But in other people, or other times in people's lives, depending on what's going on internally, it could leave a great film on locks. And that's happened. There's times I could use Dr. Bronner's, and I probably could use it now, but there was times I used it and it was like, whoa, what is this? I see a gray film. I've never seen that before. And so our pH levels impact how products even respond to us. And also how the water we use, and a lot of different things impact that. But that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. Are you getting your locks clean, getting them balanced? And that's really what the purpose is when we're using washing products. And then any other product, I'm a big fan of natural, but if there's a product line, I will definitely talk about the benefits of it. But I had simplified my routine down so much that like I was using stuff out my kitchen. I was using grapeseed oil or castor oil to separate my curls. I was using avocado, the big ones, not the Haas ones, but the big watery ones. And I was blending that up and I was placing that on my locks and leaving it in as a overnight, or not an overnight, maybe a couple of hours. I think I did overnight a couple of times. You had to pick out the fibers. But you only can't do that on new locks. It was, my locks have already been like 5 years in, 6 years in. But I was more prone to using natural things. I wanted my hair clean and I wanted my hair soft, like softened. And when it's clean and softened, then they're more pliable. When they're hard and stiff, there's something in there so I'd simplify it down. But there could be some great product lines, and I see some popping up and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I look at the ingredients, I'll see how other people are using it, and also know with interwoven locks, it's slightly different locking pattern than traditional palm rolled, or even those started with another technique, but that are maintained with palm roll, because palm roll has products and the hair fibers are matted in differently. So their product usage need might be different than an interwoven lock. If you're not using a lot of products, you do not need to go crazy with washing products, and you're not cleaning out a whole lot. You're just cleaning off your own sweat and dirt and maybe a little bit of oils. So those are things to take care of. When you're thinking also about apple cider vinegar rinses and baking soda and all those things, it can be very harsh. It shouldn't be done more often than once or twice a year, or a couple of times a year. This should not be done on a regular basis, because you can also strip your hair. We have the ability, wonderful ability, when we get these locks, to create our scalp and our skin do something miraculous when you allow it to. Initially, it's a shock. Like if you detox, you might break out at first, and then you become into this harmonious kind of like plateau, like place. And that's what happens. That's what happens to a lot of my clients who come in maybe with like a lot of dandruff or with some itchy scalp or some things going on, and they get an installation. Their concern is, oh my goodness, you're telling me I can't use products because I need to. Look at my hair, it's always dry. And what I say, obviously I used within the scope of my professional judgment. There's a whole assessment process that goes up to the point of a person getting in your chair. So a person that gets to that point of an installation, you've already assessed out whether they have a serious skin condition or anything that requires them to use some medical type of product. But once you've filtered for that, and you've realized, and that person's made to your chair, then something beautiful happens. Our skin breathes, and it has this way that it responds to the environment, where it will release oils, it will retain moisture. Just the thing with your lips, if you think about, the more you lick your lips in the wintertime, the drier they are. It's horrible, and you end up getting like a rash. But when you stop licking your lips, you can, like, you might put a coat of something light on, or your body will respond to the environment. So it's essentially similar with your hair and scalp. When you starve it of this plastic coating of some artificial products that coat your skin and don't allow it to breathe properly, I call it this moisture retention process. It's like an exchange that happens with the environment, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna release a little bit. Now, we're definitely supposed to be in a warm environment, so we do need to understand we may have experienced more dryness, because if you're melanated, you're not in a warm climate, you're not in your natural climate, so you're going to need probably some help. But dandruff, scalp issues, those things subside and they come to like a balance. I used to have really bad dandruff, especially when I was perming and just as a child. This is really gross, but like I used to scratch it and like get joy. Like my mom used to, like everybody used to like scratching people's dandruff. That's so gross. But it was just like a weird, one of those sick kind of things. You're like, but then you realize this is a lot of dandruff. Like my scalp is really dry. And when I got locks, that was my concern. What I noticed first, before I became the professional doing it, with my own hair, I noticed the less product I put on it, like artificial product, the more it became calm. It like calmed itself down, and it kind of like went into this like healing thing. It did something. So I don't have a like excessive dandruff more than the average. It's so bizarre. Like I used to visually see flakes, and I don't see flakes, and I don't see flakes. So I noticed that happened to a lot of clients who said that that was their issue. Like black shirts would be covered in dandruff, and then throughout the process, within that year, I noticed a drastic difference. So I just wanted to say that about products. Overdoing products is so easy to do, especially in this industry, in this market, because there's some great things. We all want to try them. And there's some things you could try. I think, but I think I look at the amount of products that I've accumulated and people have accumulated, and I really look at it and I think, wow, when I locked my daughter's hair, we have a whole cabinet full of products. We use none. My daughter has some dandruff. My daughter's hair has grown since we've locked it. But I'd had to use so much product before. And I'm just noticing that her scalp, she used to have like just some things that would just happen when it was out and loose. So the last point of optimal maintenance is consistency in the technique and the tool. You want to be consistent. It's so ideal for, I tell my clients or anyone who starts, who goes wherever they go, it's ideal though for them to stay for a year with me if they're starting with me or my team. Stay a year, because that ensures that we have your foundation consistent. We're using the same, we actually set up each session kind of sets up for the next, because we eyeball, we know we're using the same tool, same rotation, same tension, and that ensures that a lock is consistent. If there's a lot of different things happening, it could disrupt, the appearance of your hair, what's happening with it. And so I just want to keep the consistency going. So you don't have soft spots in the locks and things like that. So, excuse me. Okay, and I'm looking here. So, last big point I want to make is regular maintenance should be done on a schedule of 4 to 6 weeks, ideally. Person's hair grows about a half an inch or so between every 4 to 6 weeks. It can grow a lot faster, it can grow a lot slower, but the more contact, the more eyes you have on what's happening, especially when your locks are new, is absolutely ideal. This also can be a drastic shift when people are looking to get locks, who maybe do their DIYers like myself. I used to do my own hair. I would go to salon as a treat if I went. It was a lot of money. I think my first natural salon I went to was Curve Salon, Miss Jessie's. Both the sisters did my hair. I dropped hundreds and hundreds of dollars and lost a lot. It wasn't good for me to do that, but I was used to doing my own hair. And so the concept of me going somewhere on a regular basis was like, what? This is crazy. But understanding that this is a wonderful, unique a process that needs support. It's an investment, and the overall results will be wonderful. It's very, very freeing. It's very freeing to have the style, to know how to do it. So keeping that regular schedule, it just helps make sure everything looks as great as it can. And that's most ideal. Again, things happen. I want to know if there's any questions, because we're gonna wrap up in a few minutes. I want to make sure that I cover all the topics that you would want to hear. There's some, so we talked about maintenance do's and don'ts, just the overall summary of it. Avoid products that coat and soak in your hair. Avoid things that poke through it. Keep a regular maintenance schedule. do keep consistency in what you're doing in the tool, all that. Yeah, and those are the main ones. Do keep your product usage, I would say limited, but also keep that process beneficial. So yeah, so making sure you're not just slapping anything on your head all the time. Some other things I wanted to mention. I think I talked yesterday about setting lotions and mousses and things. When I curl my hair, only thing I've ever used was water, just pure water. And it's hard sometimes for people to like. We're so used to using products for everything, and I would say, it was like, "What product did you use to curl your hair?" I said, "Water." Usually after I wash my hair, I roll it up, and the most that I've ever done was put lavender oil drops. I know the big craze is rose water. It does nothing else but to have a beautiful rose scented water, and in a small amount. It maybe provides minimal soothing. Same thing with lavender. It was just there for me to provide some soothing and scent to the water, but I didn't need to add anything else to my hair ever, to set it, to curl it. The thing that I did do was I have a hair oil, but some of the basis of the hair oil is the castor or grapeseed, jojoba. Jojoba doesn't really do too much besides just mimic your natural, but sebum, but the castor oil is a little thicker, so sometimes I have to dilute it down, and I would use that to just, when I separated these curls, actually I used it's like a shea. I know shea is pretty super heavy, but it was such a minimal, and I just went in and I do that. Sometimes I'll rub it with castor or grapeseed. Minimal products, things that are natural. Aromatherapy is just really good in general. So if you want to, like, there's some things that people might do to stimulate a little bit of growth. There's some like I said, I'm a big fan of natural. I've heard some great recipes that some clients have used, and everything was like out of the kitchen that they would use on their locks and on their scalp, and it provided pretty good results. But still, not overdoing it, because it just sometimes you can, when I go to do the retightening, a lot's going on in the hair. And so with that being said, I'll end today. It was great talking to you guys. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Bye.